I'm here with Stephen Almond, the Director of Technology and Innovation at the UK's ICO. Stephen, it's so nice to see you again, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Stephen, you and I both just came back from the GPA in Istanbul, and there were a number of events on privacy-enhancing technologies, or PETs, not the least of which was Side event that you kindly joined as well, to go over the benefits and challenges of PETs. So it's clear that the privacy world is increasingly turning their attention to PETs and also privacy preserving technologies, whichever acronym you want to use, PPTs or PETs, and their great potential to mitigate privacy risks or streamline legal compliance, and also establish more trust in emerging digital technologies and support innovation. SIPL also launched a project on PETs and PPTs, where we are trying to demystify the landscape of PETs, if you will, and try to explain what we define as PETs, like federated learning or differential privacy, secure multi-party computation, etc. And we intend to provide some practical examples and case studies for these various technologies as they are developing, and look at the possibilities of them and map out practical and legal challenges that are inherent. But you, the ICO, Stephen, your agency has also recently issued one of the first draft guidance on PET, where you introduced also the technologies, looked at risks and benefits in connection with data protection compliance. And you try to provide a path to assess whether or not PETs should be used in a given scenario. From your regulator's perspective, what do you perceive as the benefits of PETs in the context of privacy specifically?
Thank you. Well, look, PETs provide the ability to share, link, analyze personal data, and provide valuable insights from it, but whilst ensuring that organizations protect the privacy of individuals and comply with data protection law. We're seeing quite a wide range of use cases emerge. For example, we're seeing PETs being used to support systems deployed in financial services to counter money laundering or the financing of terrorism. We're seeing them used in healthcare to combine data sources to improve health outcomes for individuals. In the respect of location and mobility data, which is notoriously difficult to anonymize, we're seeing it really being opened up for analytics and sharing through the use of PETs. From a regulatory perspective, we see PETs as an increasingly important way in which organizations can help demonstrate that their processing is compliant with DP law. To quote the legislation, it's a great example of data protection by design and default in terms of processing. And more specifically, we think that PETs can help provide an appropriate level of security and particularly support compliance with the data minimization principle, ensuring that organizations are only processing the data that they really need for their purposes. So we see them as a big part of the future.
So that all sounds great and very supportive, but there are of course challenges, and we do need to understand that PETs are not necessarily the panacea or silver bullet, however one wants to phrase that. What does the ICO, what do you see as the main challenges that PETs or the application of PETs bring?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, they certainly don't allow unrestrained processing of personal data. They require good governance and good technical and legal expertise in order to apply them, and appropriate sort of organizational controls. So, and first up, they require significant expertise to set up and use appropriately. PETs have to be configured to ensure sufficient levels of privacy protection and sufficient utility, sufficient sort of ways of ensuring that the original purposes of the processing can be met, get it wrong, and you can quite easily actually lower or actually completely undermine the effectiveness of the use of a privacy enhancing technology, either rendering it impossible to use the data for the purposes for which you were aiming for, or actually still making it highly identifiable. And as a result, and despite the benefits of PETs, we're finding that more organizations than we'd like are wary of using PETs right now for fear of getting it wrong. And at the ICO, we're really thinking quite hard about how we can lean in, like with our guidance that you mentioned, to help bust myths about PETs and help organizations get them right.
So that's a good segue to my next question. At another event, you did coin the great phrase of bring out your technologists. So from a regulatory perspective, what are you looking for from industry for you to be able to lean in and help? But what input do you need from those trying to either develop or apply PETs?
I think I'm still in trouble for saying bring out your technologists, aren't I? From the ICO perspective, we're looking at 3 different sort of strands of work in terms of really tackling the barriers to adoption of PETs and sort of the ways to address these challenges that I mentioned. So looking back to earlier this year, we set up a series of different tech sprints with industry, really to have that sort of tech-to-tech dialogue, examining different use cases of PETs and trying to work out, well, how do we crack this? We have 3 things that we're looking to do sort of longer term around this. So first, as you mentioned, we've developed our guidance for organizations on how to use PETs in compliance with data protection law. It is currently out for public consultation and provides advice to organizations on the sorts of things that they should be considering when using PETs. So the maturity of the technology, the cost, the sorts of technical and organizational measures that need to be in place. We'd love to hear feedback from your members on our consultation here, so please do sort of lean in and shape it. There are 2 other areas as well that we think are really important. So one is we're really keen to see continued investment to advance the maturity of PETs. So it's worth saying, this is still an area of technology which is still developing, and there are issues that exist in the field, including things like scalability, lack of common standards, in some cases robustness to attacks. One of the things that we've been really working on at the ICO end has been supporting the US-UK PETs Prize Challenge, which is launched by both governments to invest in the development of PETs in different fields. And we're really working with those participants to help them develop their ideas in compliance with data protection law. Last thing that we're really keen to see in this area is the development of industry-led governance, whether that's standards or certification schemes, so that organizations can have confidence that they're using PETs responsibly. Here, and this is kind of my real call to action with industry, we really want organizations to step up and work together to provide ways for them to assure themselves and us that they're using PETs in compliance with the law. And particularly at the moment, I think it's fair to say that a number of people would think that PETs are the province of the kind of the tech giants, people who are able to invest a lot in these technologies and apply them, and smaller organizations may struggle to understand how to apply them. We're actually really looking for the development of standard certification that will help people understand and have a clear path to applying these technologies in practice.
It's a great example of co-regulatory outcome-based, regulation, and that level of of understanding. It's an iterative process, and it requires the dialogue between the regulator and the regulatees to develop this into something that has enforces good behavior. And assures you that, companies are being accountable when they are applying it. I think it's a really good example for it. You mentioned the price challenge that the UK and US government have both put out on the development of pets, and we're all very curious to see the results. But let me ask you as a final question as well, whether there are other corporations that the ICO is maybe engaging with other regulators nationally, but also internationally on the understanding of pets and the direction of travel on how regulators tackle this question of pets.
Thanks. Well, look, in September, we were really pleased to lead an item with our G7 counterparts as data protection and privacy authorities when the various different commissioners met, looking at how we could collectively work together to stimulate the development and use of pets. And it's a conversation that really continues there. And one of the key areas of focus is that one that I've mentioned around really encouraging industry right now to start thinking about actually how do we start to develop standards, certification, ways in which organizations will be able to really straightforwardly demonstrate actually we're doing this in compliance with data protection law, and we are kind of role modeling best practice here. You can take a kind of a lighter touch approach with us. We're doing the right thing.
It's a really good note to stop on. Thank you so much for your time, Stephen. We'll hopefully get to interview you about something new and exciting soon again. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.